الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. All praise is due to Allah, and His praise and blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad and the rest of the messengers and the prophets and their followers until the day of judgment. My dear brothers and sisters, we're talking about the importance of following the scholars and learning from the scholars, because they are the most important element in any society, where it should be the central of the society, where people can gather around them, where they can guide people and educate people about the religion, because this is their role in the society. Actually, they are taking the role of the Prophet ﷺ, who used to be the educator of the community, and that's the role of the scholars in the society. We're talking about the definition of the scholar, because so many people said, how can I know if this is a scholar or not? We said the word scholar, which is equal to the word, in Arabic it means alim, comes from the word ilm, knowledge, and we're talking about the knowledge which is Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. In order for you to understand Al-Quran and As-Sunnah, you need other science beside that to make you able to understand the meaning of the Quran and Sunnah, such as the Arabic language, the science of hadith, to understand what is authentic, what's not authentic, what's weak, what's fabricated from the ahadith. Also the science of usul al-fiqh that allowed you to understand the meaning of the text and the rules of driving, or the way to drive rules from the textual evidence. So these and other science as well, which is mainly the person who specializes in Sharia has to study until he will be able to understand the Quran and Sunnah perfectly. This person, you have to add to it also that him being righteous, or that person has to be righteous. That's why Al-Imam Sufyan al-Thawri was asked, who's the scholar? He said, إِنَّمَا الْعَالِمْ الَّذِي يَخَافُ اللَّهِ. The scholar is the one who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has taqwa, he is righteous. This is the real scholar. This is the scholar. And if this is the case, you will know that the scholar, not necessarily to be an Arab, he not necessarily to be an Arab, he cannot not necessarily to be from certain race, but he must be able to understand Arabic. Also, the scholar can be a male or a female, not necessarily to be a male. That's why in the history of Islam, there are so many female scholars. They used to give fatwa, and they used to have great roles in the Muslims ummah. You find some of the scholars of hadith, for example, Al-Farahidi, he had, from his teachers, he studied under so many teachers, 80 of them, 80 were women. He studied under them. And so many examples like that. You have also, you will know that the scholar is not related to that title, is not related to a political position. So, let's say if the government appointed somebody to be a scholar, this is not going to make him a scholar. And it's not going not to make him a scholar, because we have both people. If somebody has been appointed to a certain position to be the minister of awqaf, or the masajids, or the da'wah, people automatically think that he's a scholar, he's capable of giving fatwa. Not necessarily. And we have, on the other hand, also a large number of people, when you tell them this scholar is the Grand Mufti of this country, or the minister of awqaf, or the minister of da'wah, or he is the appointed imam by the government immediately, because for one reason or another he had made a problem with that government, he immediately said, oh, he's not a scholar. He canceled him. It's not the way to know the scholar, by their political position, neither by their social position or their lineage. If he's a son of a great scholar, will not make him a scholar. If he's the son of a great scholar, it's not going to make him a scholar. Or if he's the father of a great scholar, it's not going to make him a scholar. Abu Dawood, the famous scholars in hadith, once was asked about his father. What do you think of your father's narration as a narrator? He put his head down like this. He kept thinking. Then he raised his head, and you can see the sadness, this sad look in his face. And he said, if it's not the religion, I would never say what I'm going to say about my father. My father is a weak narrator. Don't take from him. SubhanAllah, see the honesty of this man. But because his father, it's not going to make him a scholar or a scholar in hadith. No. He admitted and he said he's not a good narrator. Don't write hadith from him. And there are so many examples actually like that. So we cannot basically judge the scholar by any other than what I said. Him being righteous, and that's not good enough. Also him being able to understand the Quran and Sunnah. We see some people are so good in certain areas in Sharia, but not necessarily this area will allow them to be a scholar, to give fatwa or to answer people's questions. There are some people, mashallah, have very beautiful voice in reciting the Quran, memorizing the whole entire Quran, leading the prayer in Jumu'ah or Taraweeh, in Jama'ah, in congregation, when Muslim praying congregation, in Taraweeh, Ramadan, regular prayer. But this is not good enough to make that person a scholar to give fatwa. We have also a great khatib, mashallah, very good speaker. When he stand up in the minbar, giving the khutbah in Jumu'ah or giving a speech in TV or in addressing people in a lecture, he moves people's heart. He can really say very beautiful, strong words. But that's not good enough to make such person a scholar. That doesn't mean that he's a scholar. He is capable of giving fatwa. And also, there is some activist in da'wah. Maybe he established a great group who giving da'wah and very active in da'wah. That's not enough to make that person a scholar. Also, if somebody, he's the head of the Islamic society, or he is in charge of a masjid, or been elected as a representative for the Muslim community, in one area, in social areas or political areas, as we have a lot in the States and in other communities as well, in other places in the world, it's not enough to make those people scholars. And them not being scholars, it's not something bad, but they are not. The scholar is the one who is capable of giving the fatwa based on knowledge of Al-Quran wa Sunnah. I hope this is very clear, because this helps us a lot to understand who is the scholar and what is the scholar's role exactly. Because the scholar has role in the society, and other than the scholars, also they have other roles to play in the society. Okay, another word that people ask a lot about it. What is madhab? What is madhab? Madhab is school of thought in fiqh issue, in the Sharia, the rules of the Islamic laws, or the Islamic rules. What is madhab? We hear all about madhab. Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, Hanafi. First of all, I would like to tell you, and maybe this will surprise some of you. In the history of Islam, there is more than these four madhabs. We had the madhab of al-Layth, the madhab of Sufyan al-Thawri, the madhab of al-Awza'i, so many madhabs. But what is unique about these four madhabs? They were well supported later on by governments. And usually when governments support something, this thing becomes stronger. Because imagine if the governor or the governments give a support and continue their support to one madhab or one school of thought, this will be strong. That's why when you read in the history of fiqh, you will see some madhab almost disappeared in certain areas in the Muslim world, but because certain governors came and government came, they revival this madhab and became so strong in this country. So this is something, keep it in mind. There is more than the four. But what we have now famous are, a long time ago actually, the four madhab. What exactly madhab means? Madhab, it means a great scholar has students. This scholar has his own opinions in certain issues, and he had established a school of thought in fiqh, in set certain rules and give certain fatwa. Actually, they did not set rules. They give fatwas, and they answer questions. They wrote maybe some articles, some books, and also their students have written their documented their fatwas, their answers, and also the later on students try to drive and to take from their fatwa some principles. And these principles represent the way that scholar used to think. That's the way that the scholar used to give his fatwa or make his judgment. So see, it's developed from one century to another, one generation to another, until it came later on, maybe 3, 4 generations, depends, 2 generations, to be formulated as madhab, This has happened with Imam Abu Hanifa, Shafi'i, Malik, Ahmed. But it happened in a sense that none of them thought that it means I only take from Abu Hanifa and I'm not allowed to take from other than Abu Hanifa. I'm only allowed to take from Malik but not other than Malik, and so on. No, this idea came way later on, in a time where the fiqh was really been abused by some people who had a blind imitation to their scholars or to some scholars, and they closed the door of thinking, which is the door of al-ijtihad, to bring an answers or an opinions related to a new issues, and they strictly said, you only take what this imam said and that's it. But this was a short period of time. But the madhab itself, it's a great contribution to the Islamic history and the Islamic civilization. But what is wrong is to abuse that concept by thinking that the imam turned to be an infallible person, or the madhab is something, has to be correct. No, the madhab should be based on Quran and Sunnah. I'd like to conclude our episode today with a great example from Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah, who well known as a Shafi'i scholar. Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah in his book Al-Majmu' and also in Sharh Muslim said once that Imam al-Shafi'i's opinion, that you're not allowed to pray and there is an animal in front of you. But he said, but Imam al-Shafi'i's madhab, it is allowed. See, he said his opinion not allowed, but his madhab it's allowed. Why? He said because there is an authentic hadith where the Prophet ﷺ prayed and was camel sitting in front of him. So he said, since a Shafi'i said, whenever there is hadith saying something, this hadith will become my madhab, became my way, because my way is the hadith. So no, he said, since the Shafi'i, this is his method, that always follow the hadith, this will be his way, will be his madhab, even though if he said something else. See how honest this man is? He's not biased, he's not an extreme follower in the sense that he will reject the hadith only because his sheikh or his scholars or the one he likes or he loves so much said something else. This is what you call it, honesty and being just. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive all our scholars and to guide us to learn our religion. And here inshallah I will stop and I will see you inshallah in your future. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.